Calgary has a spirit of entrepreneurship that predates even our oldest citizens. This city has seen its fair share of ups and downs throughout the years, yet ultimately we continue to see our city embrace those Calgarians who yearn to bring something new to the table. For many of our entrepreneurs, the desire to be one's own boss is simply too strong to ignore. These people take a chance on a service or a product that they believe in and endure the financial risks that can likely result in a type of sleep-deprived, high blood pressure existence many of us cringe to the thought of. Over the past handful of years, Calgary has seen successful startups across the board, from the food industry to the tech sector and everything in between. So, how does one start a business? What are the challenges of a startup in today's economy, and what effect will the recent push for a diversified provincial economy have on the small businesses of tomorrow? Hey Calgary, I'm Kevin Chorney. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm joined by Brett Chell from Axial Energy Technologies, as well as Monica Kretschmer, nailed it, from Canadian Business Chicks. Guys, thanks a bunch for being here. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Brett, maybe I'll start with you. What is Axial Energy Technologies? Tell me about the company.
So we formed Axial to find a way to kind of lower the cost of starting oil and gas technology companies.
Yeah.
So in the early stages, what we found, I come from a technology background, so we found when we were starting multiple companies, to have the overhead of the back-end infrastructure for each individual company when you were trying to start multiple ones was kind of redundant and expensive.
Sure.
Usually you're running on really expensive equity that you've given away at that point, and you want to try and keep those costs down. So we have two portfolio companies, one being Raptor Rig that we're a co-investor in, we're co-founders, and another one called Cold Bore. So two fairly intensive companies. One's technology based in oil and gas, and the other one's building a fleet of drilling rigs, believe it or not, some of the largest in the world. So we really focused with Axial to try and build something that was a low overhead, but to house a lot of that back-end infrastructure for these two companies.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Smart.
So in the early days, you can just keep it all in there, and as the company grows, you build it out inside the company after that.
Gotcha, cool. Same question, Monica. Tell me about Canadian Business Chicks.
So Canadian Business Chicks is Canada's community for professional and entrepreneurial women with a passion for business and profit. Okay, let's amplify that profit word, right? Let's not get scared of that. And who embrace life with courage, confidence, commitment, and integrity. So it's really a community of women coming together with a shared value system that believe and actually promote supporting each other to raise each other up and share business.
Interesting. So it's a lot of networking, I imagine.
A lot of networking, a lot of events. We have an online membership community, so there's opportunities again to connect, because you have to have your several layers of connection in order for that to be full-rounded.
Is there a big community of business-minded, oriented women in Calgary nowadays?
Oh, it's incredible. Not just in Calgary, but all over, Canada and the world. I mean, the spotlight, as we know, is on women in business. And women being really innovative. Women having to go out who want to not just have to do a business, but want to do a business or pursue their dreams. So yes, we have a large community of entrepreneurial women who are moms, who are just out there doing their own thing, singles, professionals. Some people actually in this climate that are transitioning from the professional world, dipping their toes into entrepreneurships, just because of the way the economy has taken a shift, which is really interesting, where they've wanted to do it, and just now's that great opportunity. So.
Let's talk a little bit about that, Brett. So let's rewind, a few years. Where were you 10 years ago? And I mean, did you think that nowadays, was running an energy tech company 10 years ago even on your radar?
Maybe, yeah, sure, in my head. I always wanted to do my own business, but there was a lack of understanding how to get there. And believe it or not, this all kind of came from, I started working on the drilling rigs. So I went to Emily Carr School of Art after high school, and then was there a couple of years and decided I wanted to drop out and go make money. So I went to the drilling rigs.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Oh, it's such an Alberta thing to do.
Yeah,
so
definitely, sure.
I did that. Was going to be a 1-year deal, turned into a 6-year deal, and then left that, got into doing some tech financing for technology companies, learned a street level, I guess you would call it, level of financing. So just to understand how to put narratives together and just kind of clamoring together that early stage capital, which there just is no early stage VC in Canada. You want that, you got to go to the States. So that art of putting the deal together in the early days is what I learned on the tech side. And
Something invaluable.
yeah, something like that. And then funny enough, it's just oil and gas, where I was, what I've done, that's where I went back to. And Raptor Rig was born from having a beer with the guy who hired me in the field 10 years ago, who's quite brilliant at designing new drilling rigs, who was going to go do that. Told him what I was doing now, and the two I guess
The melding of the minds, I suppose.
yeah, exactly. The two sets of experience
Yeah.
that were quite different from where we started 10 years ago came together, and now we're building a drilling company.
So was that sort of your eureka moment, that having that beverage with your friend there, when, you know what, I'm going to throw my full resources, all my weight behind this project? Was that the moment, or was there a different moment in your life that happened?
Yeah, you know what? You think at that time, you think that that's that moment,
Yeah.
and then there's a new one every week.
Is that right?
Yeah.
A few other moments.
Yeah, well, you think that this was the biggest deal, or this was the biggest day of our lives, or this financing happened, or and then it's just, as you start to get more experience, which I got a long way to go, you start to realize that's another step, and there's 99 more to get where you got to be. So
You're sealing your floor.
yes,
Does that sound about right?
exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So tell me the story of Canadian Business Chicks then, Monica. I mean, what motivated you initially to start this company?
Oh my goodness. We only have half an hour today.
We do. True.
Really. So I think really what motivated me to start the business was I was in a position where I had a life-changing experience, literally, in 2007. And it was where your world is pulled out and from like underneath your toes. So at that time, I mean, it was just, I was working at a job. I was day one with WestJet. And I was there for about 13 years, transitioned to another role with another upstart company, another great success story, another airline. And I was in communications, management, building culture. And had the marriage, had the baby, all that good stuff, and then my world turned upside down. So for the next 7-8 years, really my focus was just keeping my head above water. So when I came out of that situation, I'm going, okay, I've learned some invaluable lessons here. What do I really want to do with my life? And seriously take inventory of every possible thing that I love, that I was passionate about, that I was remotely good at, and throw the cards on the table. And what came out of it was that I always have loved doing events. I loved entertaining. I'm a natural connector, and I can walk into a crowd and just light it up. Like, I have no problem meeting people.
You lit up the
connecting.
room when you came in today.
Well, thank you
That's
so
so much
much.
more polished than me. You're making me
And a
look bad.
grand entrance, right? So I think it's sort of, nobody would ever say, geez, I think I'm going to go start a women's networking company. Like, there would be no job description for that, really. But I decided that that was the only reasonable thing that I could possibly do, is really fill a gap out in the marketplace right now, and then put all my talents together and be able to provide that. And the gap was, there's entrepreneurs, there's professionals, there's moms, there's students, but not everybody was sort of coming together in one environment where we can help and support.
That cohesion is what
Gotcha. Inclusive environments are huge. I mean, when I looked back at always doing potlucks together, you bring people in to share values. So we know what happens then. Magic, right? Because everybody wants to help and support, everybody's on the same team. So that's really what we do with Canadian Business Chicks, is that we have that same core value system, bring people in, and then that's when the magic happens. There's no competition, everybody wants to help and support you to build your dreams.
Brilliant, that's cool. That's cool. Folks, we're going to jump to a quick break and check in with the Rant Pack. Stay with us.
Startups in the city of Calgary can mean anything. People have a tendency to think that the word startup means technological, which it very well can be. I actually think the entire province of Alberta missed the boat when we had lots of money and oil was at $150 a barrel. Come on, guys, you knew it wasn't going to stay up there forever. What you should have done, government, Alberta, Notley, I'm looking at you now, I think, is say, if you have a technological company that is strictly technological, be it Instagram, something like Facebook, something like Twitter, and you can grant money to these people and then give them a tax break to at least stay here for a while. I know it's tough, we're not near Silicon Valley, but that was your opportunity to diversify, and you blew it, conservatives. I'm sorry, I'm a conservative. That's a little hard for me to say, but you blew it for years. As far as other businesses go, I think Calgary's pretty diverse in what we have and what we need. People already see a need for something and they fill that void. That's how startups become successful.
I think that's well spoken. I think Adam probably echoes the sentiments of many Calgarians and Canadians alike. That said, can I ask you both, maybe I'll start with you, Monica, how you finance the birth of Canadian business chicks?
Well,
it's a tough market, I would think.
It is a tough market.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have to say that when I made the decision to start the company, I launched in Canmore at Rocky Mountain Soap Company, and there was 2,500 women there. And I said, you know what? If I am going to start a business and raise a community, if I get 1% of 2,500 women, I've got a community to start raising, and that's exactly what I did.
Cool.
So I went with some savings in my back pocket and a great big pair of boots. Because seriously, it takes a lot of work to get to the next level, and it's called bootstrapping. You know, there's not really those funds available for entrepreneurs, even though you have these great ideas. They're like, prove yourself.
Yeah.
Prove yourself, and then we'll show you the money, right? So, you know, normally 6 months, a year, you know, and we're coming into our second year in May, which is incredible. And I'm like, can't believe I'm still, you know, building, and where we have gone from where we started. But, you know, it's called bootstrapping and really putting everything that you make back into the company to make it grow. And then earning the respect of those around you. And they're going, I see what you did. I know you're worthy. We've got your back now. So I think sort of that's really our story. Cool. A little bit different environment than probably yours.
Yes, I guess, if you would. But how did that come to be? I mean, is it, I mean, there's obviously there's no magic bullet that's going to put the money that you need together. I mean, how did you go about financing the company? Yeah,
no, you're right. It's not a lot different actually in the early days. No. Yeah. So we with our technology companies, we've done some financing in the States and some other international financings, and it's quite a bit different than doing it in Canada. How so? There's a lot bigger. So for early stage companies or SMEs, there's a lot of venture capital in the States that's sitting on the sidelines waiting to go, especially for technology, especially for consumer goods and fintech. So if you are in the States and you have a great idea, it's not out of this world to imagine that if you pitch it to the right people, you're going to get 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 million bucks thrown at you, whatever you need to run and build a company, right? In Canada, the early stage VC market is pretty much non-existent. Much more conservative up here with all the capital, and it's very secular. Like they do energy here, and they do finance, fintech in Toronto, and and that's about it. Nobody really kind of takes off and does the early stage financings. So we did a lot of the bootstrapping. Early days was in my truck or on the plane, see individual guys. I mean, when we started Cold War, one of the portfolio companies, it was 15, 25,000 bucks at a time. And a lot of my friends that are in the oil field hands, were putting up to 25 grand. So the first 5 million was done 25,000 bucks at a time. That's a lot of people. Yeah, wow. Well, and there were some guys, it's not the whole 5 million, there's a couple $500,000 checks, but still, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of knocking on doors. Then the experience with Raptor Rig is it's another one. We're just going down that road now, but it's way different. It's a lot of capital up front to build these rigs, and in a manufacturing situation, it's something that they understand a little more here. Obviously, you have a tangible asset that you're going to put together, and it's energy related. Now the challenge is right now. The challenge is the timing stuff. Now the good side of it is that ours is a technology focused drilling rig, which reduces cost of extraction. Now we started this 3 years ago when we didn't know this was going to happen, so we got a bit lucky in that we focused on that. Because if you're not focused on reducing cost of extraction in this industry, you're not getting financed. And frankly, that's not going to change now. I mean, it's pretty clear. That's not going to change. That's how it is. Yeah. So like she said, bootstrapping, early days, then you move forward to some private equity guys if you get lucky to get that far. That's kind of the microcosm in Canada. If you get past that bootstrapping gully, then you're a year into your company and you don't have any of that VC backing, you have to make sure you raise whatever you need to get to the iBanking or private equity sector. A lot of work. Yeah. Good on you guys. Folks, we're going to jump to another break and check in with the Rant Pack once again. Stay with us.
I think this is a great time for startups because social media is so popular. Majority of people have Facebook, they have Twitter, they have Instagram. So I think it's easier to create your own brand. However, because of its ease, I think there is a saturation, and depending on what what direction your brand is going in, but I think it encourages people to work harder. It encourages people to hone in on their strengths because that'll make them stand out more.